Friday night. Friday night? Yeah, it is Friday. Days just fly past here. Yes, good day. Got a heap of editing done on the photos from the Southwest trip, the big monster. So that was pretty cool. Oh, I do have a dilemma. I now have too many photos and probably what I need for the video. So I've got I managed to narrow it down to 20, and I've gone through and done a fair bit of editing to try and help me narrow it down even more. I've somehow got to get it down to I think 12. I'm thinking about 10 to 12 photos. That seems like enough. I think you normally use about 10, I guess, in the video, sort of, so I can put a couple in, and then sort of this one, because it's broken up a bit, so that they'll go in between. So I figured about 3 sections. So yeah, see how I go. I've got some tough decisions to make. I've got some really good photos out of the trip, so I don't really want to leave something out. I guess that is the hardest part. It's very tricky sometimes when you enjoy it and you want to show it off. I guess it's hard to say, well, no, I'll keep that one to myself, or which one's better. So anyway, I'll sort of stagger them up on Instagram as well too, so you can sort of see them. They are some large files, so I'll try and, I've got to trim them down to sort of just normal JPEGs so they fit on. But I should be able to get them on there. I'll just start putting them up bits and pieces, so it gives me like 10 days worth of some Insta stuff there for you to have a look at. Pretty cool. So yeah, very good. So basically when I get home in the morning after work, I'm going to start smashing the video together, try and get all that sorted. So yeah, well on the way, so that's a good start. The photos tend to take me the longest time to get through. By the time I go through all of them, narrow it down, then edit, clean them up, all that can take anywhere up to 2 or 3 days depending on sleep. I've got to get some sleep in there too sometime. So yeah, very, very cool. So hopefully, yeah, a couple of days maybe, fingers crossed, and maybe 3 worst case. So yeah, definitely before I fly out, so that's pretty cool. Apple, the new iPhone 12, they're saying with this new A14 chip, could possibly be as powerful as the outgoing 15.4 inch laptop. So that's pretty huge. It's pretty hard to sort of understand it. It's now going to a 5 nanometer chip from a 7 nanometer chip, which doesn't really mean much to me or probably to you. But basically it can do pretty much double the old amount of calculations. I guess that's the easiest way to put it. Or somewhere around that ballpark, something like 15 billion calculations a second or a minute or whatever it is. So yeah, ridiculously powerful. Tech is just flying forward with what they can do in these phones. So I'm not sure how you do it. I mean, it's fantastic you get the power of a laptop, but in a phone it's just in a form factor that size. When I couldn't imagine trying to edit a proper video or anything, so you don't really need the power for that. I guess more so for the gamers. If you're gaming like that on a phone or an iPad, it makes sense because it's a bit bigger, those 12-inch ones where you can use the pencil and stuff and you can edit, but on a phone it's a lot of grunt. I don't really know how much they need in there. There's only probably so much you really cares. It's hard to, it's just a phone for me, so check my Instagram, occasionally check Facebook, and just check emails and get messages. I don't really use it. I've gone away from probably 90% of the other stuff. It takes up too much time. It's pretty much all the same crap most of the time anyway. So yeah, so it's amazing technology, and just it's pretty mind-blowing to see what they can do. Like that 15-inch $3,000 laptop, or anywhere up to $6,000 they were, they can get the power of that into something this big. So that's pretty insane. But yeah, like good for customers. Customers win, and that all comes from, I guess, competition. And these guys they're all trying to get you $1. They're trying to beat Samsung and OnePlus and that, and they're all the 120 hertz displays and this and that. And the phone thing, it just flies because they all want that cash. Computers, people don't buy them as quick, so they don't get that cash in as fast, so they're probably a little bit slower to do stuff. So it's pretty insane what competition how it can force companies to get better, faster, and constantly evolve. And realistically, the only ones that win are us. And they just imagine having to work at some of those places and trying to constantly come up with ways to get faster and faster and faster. No matter what you do, 6 to 12 months later, all that work you've done, maybe over 4 years, is obsolete. That would be pretty depressing. I'm sure there's a lot of depressed people in some of these tech companies. I'm sure that's a bit of a struggle for them. It'd be very, very hard to sort of get any sort of enjoyment when it's so short-lived for so much output. Anyways, very good to hear. Amazing things coming out in 2020. As I said it before, I think a couple of weeks ago, 2020 is going to be a huge year for phones. The Samsung with the 8K video, the new Apple layout, how that's going to work with the split phone releases and all the tech that's going to come out there. 5G, so much in the tech world this year is going to be monstrous, and it seems to be just happening double the speed of 2019, which is just crazy. So very exciting year for tech. Want to give you a good watch. I spare minutes when I don't have to answer it two-way. It's occasionally get to watch, and I'd like to relax and watch a bit of Joe Rogan on his podcast. I think he's an amazing guy and a really good interviewer. He had Robert Downey Junior on there, so a monstrous superstar on a podcast. I'm sure it's very rare that Robert Downey Junior gets on podcasts. Obviously, he's a big fan of Joe Rogan's from the fighting. He's a martial artist himself. He's a black belt in karate or something like that, or Wing Chun, I think. Really good interview. Just a really nice guy. Just a normal person. You often put actors and we enjoy what they do and their craft, and it makes us happy, and we get enjoyment from it, and you sort of put them on a pedestal, I guess. So to just sit down and listen to them, and they just talk like a normal person and a human, and obviously some people it goes to their head and they sort of lose focus on life. But he is seems like just a genuine dude, and it was a really good interview and really well done. So great job, Joe Rogan, and Robert Downey Junior. Awesome. It was really good to sort of get to know him, I guess, as a person. So very, very cool. So if you wanted something to relax to and just kick back and just mellow out, great interview and definitely worth listening to. You'll find it easily. I think it's trending pretty well on YouTube, so you won't have a drama getting to that. Right, Trump, big bad Trump. Today was the day, went to the Senate with the impeachment paperwork for the trial to start. It had to get delayed by a day, so it went in today. It's a big process, obviously, all the rubbish with politics and crap and all the history, and they do all the fancy crap that no one really cares about. So it went in, and basically it started. They all have to take an oath to say that they're going to be all honest and forthcoming and all that stuff. So it's basically started. There's the judges there. That's all locked and loaded. So it's all going to be happening. So I guess from here on in, it'll ramp up a little bit. We'll start hearing a bit more about that. I'm sure you'll get on normal telly if you watch that, and we'll see more. And I'll sort of keep you updated as I hear it and watch it. So yeah, very interesting. I think it's one of those things in your generation. Wasn't alive, obviously. Thank God, I'm not that old. When Nixon happened, but this is one of these once a generation things. I think where it's a very interesting sort of a watch and sort of understand and see how it all happens and what it's all about. So has the ability to change a fair bit about the world with the US having so much power and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely check it out. It'd be very cool. Hopefully it all works out well. I don't think he really should be there. I don't think he's made a lot of right decisions. I guess everyone's opinion's different, so it's tricky in that department to sort of say if he's right or wrong, but it's going through the process, and that's what it's all about. You've got to just have faith in the process, and whatever happens there, I guess everyone's just going to have to abide by that, because that's what, otherwise the rules are all sort of done and dusted. But anyway, that'll happen. We'll hear more and more every day that plays out. Now, last quick one I want to quickly chat about the new Canon 1DX. Obviously it got released, there was no footage, we got nothing like that. Finally we got something up today. Peter McKinnon chucked up, did a B-roll thing with at his mate's house, or his mate's business, the leather crafter. So it's pretty good, 5.5K raw. Looked fantastic. We all know Canon with their movie cameras and stuff like that, and the footage out of it was awesome. So look, come up really good. I think he was pretty impressed with how it worked and what it did. 4K, he was doing that. He was doing it's got obviously the autofocus and the tracking on 4K on that thing, so that's pretty cool. Now, the one thing I did notice, he said he had to download. He got the CF Express cards in there. He had only had one of them, 128 gig, and he had to download that twice just while he was filming enough footage for, I think it was a 10-minute video. So he's probably got 20, 30, 40 minutes worth of video, I guess. So he could trim it down, I would imagine, as a rough idea, sort of knowing what I sort of film. It'd be something like that, it'd be around there, I think, with different takes and doing things over and over. So basically maybe let's just say best case scenario, 30 minutes of footage, he's used 256 gig of data. So that is huge files. And I think that's probably going to be the one thing that's going to sort of detract from it is, and I think definitely with 4K it's a bit of a trick, is the fact that it's just so much data to have to play with and then for your computers to handle, to edit with. One trick I found out the other day of Matty Hoppier, and I thank him for it, I am going to try it, is he does everything in 1080p, but he then uploads it renders it out at 4K, so in 4K settings, and then when it goes back to, then when it uploads to YouTube, it'll basically come back to 1080p anyway, so, but it'll have a little bit better look to it. So it's something interesting I want to try, and I'm going to try it out with the next video. I'll see how it goes, and I'll let you know. And I'll probably tell you about it in the video, or I'll let you know in another day, another vlog series anyway. So I think that's probably a good way to do it if you do want to get a little bit better quality. But that's, yeah, massive files, 256 gig for just like a 10-minute video. That's just, that's like you need one of those Linus Tech Tips 90 petabyte, 100 petabyte sort of friggin' storage containers just to do it. So massive amounts of data, and that's, I think, as a camera, it's probably going to be a sports camera anyway. I can't see it being used with 4K footage too much, but it's definitely going to get used. People are going to use it, but yeah, they're going to get smashed a fair bit by storage. So those CF Express cards are definitely going to be needed. I don't think you could do it any other way with that larger file. But yeah, I thought I'd just share that with you, something interesting to learn about that. That yeah, the data might be an issue, like it is with all big 4K and 8K and up. And I think that'll be the thing with the Samsung phones, their storage too. If they do go 8K, how long is it going to take to fill that phone up? So yeah, we'll see how we go. Anyway, that's it from me for another day. Hope you're well. Your Friday weekend's here. Enjoy it. Have a bit of a rest. Have a couple of red wines for me, and I'll see you all tomorrow night. Whether you're coming or going or hitting the town, stay safe, look after your mates, and don't drink and drive. See ya.